Good evening. I hereby call to order the July 18th, 2016 Special Council Meeting of the City of Mayfield Heights. May I have a roll call, please?
Mr. DeJohn?
Here.
Mrs. Finney?
Here.
Mr. Mano?
Here.
Mr. Mercurio?
Here.
Mrs. Sabetta?
Here.
Mrs. Snyder? Mrs. Dressing?
Here.
Here. Thank you. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. We will now move on to the acceptance of minutes from our last meeting, which was June 27th, 2016. Hope everyone's had the opportunity to read over the minutes. Is there a motion to approve? Moved by Mr. Mano, seconded by Mrs. Snyder. Are there any suggested changes, amendments, deletions to the meeting? To the minutes, I apologize. Seeing none, all in favor of approval of these minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Abstain. Absent due to illness.
Thank you, Mrs. Sabetta. The minutes of our council meeting of June 27th, 2016 have been approved as written. As this is a special council meeting, there will be no correspondence and announcements or reports of committees, commissions, and boards. So we will move on to our first resolution. Mr. Murphy.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Resolution number 2016-50, a resolution designating Huntington National Bank, PNC Bank National Association, Fifth Third Bank, First Merit Bank, N.A., Key Bank National Association, First National Bank, Dollar Bank, and U.S. Bank, N.A., as depositories for active and interim deposits of the City of Mayfield Heights for a 5-year period and declaring an emergency. First reading.
Is there a motion to suspend the rules? Moved by Mrs. Finney, seconded by Mr. Mano. Roll call on the motion to suspend.
Mr. Mano?
Yes.
Mr. Mercurio?
Yes.
Mr. DeJohn?
Yes.
Mrs. Sabetta?
Yes.
Mrs. Finney?
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder?
Yes.
Mrs. Tressi?
Yes. Do I have a motion to approve? Moved by Mrs. Snyder, seconded by Mr. Mercurio. We received a memo from Mr. Tribby. Mr. Tribby, would you like to do a short explanation on all the banks that?
Well, I guess you could say I could read them the memo, but no, just kidding.
Thank you.
Every 5 years, the city has to authorize depository agreements. It's under the statutes of Ohio. And we got applications from these various banks, so by approving them, we don't do business with all of them right now, but this allows us to do business with them over the next 5 years.
Any questions for Mr. Tribby? Roll call on the motion to approve.
Mr. DeJohn?
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder?
Yes.
Mrs. Finney?
Yes.
Mr. Mercurio?
Yes.
Mr. Mano?
Yes.
Mrs. Sabetta?
Yes.
Mrs. Tressi?
Yes. Resolution 2016-50 has been approved. We'll move on to Resolution 2016-51, Mr. Murphy.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Resolution number 2016-51, a resolution accepting a certain bid for salt and declaring an emergency. First reading.
Is there a motion to suspend the rules? Moved by Mrs. Snyder, seconded by Mrs. Sabetta. Roll call on the motion to suspend.
Mrs. Finney?
Yes.
Mrs. Sabetta?
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder?
Yes.
Mr. Mano?
Yes.
Mr. DeJohn?
Yes.
Mr. Mercurio?
Yes.
Mrs. Tressi?
Yes. Do I have a motion to approve? Moved by Mrs. Sabetta, seconded by Mrs. Finney. Bids were received on Friday, July 15th, and just minutes ago we received the analysis and bids to review from the lowest bidder. Mr. Finaro is here. Mr. Finaro, would you like to come forward and say anything this evening about the bid? questions for Mr. Fenaro?
One.
Mr. Mano?
Just for clarification, the magnesium chloride treated salt, do we get any of that too, or we don't bother with that? Okay.
We tried it last, two years ago. No test run.
Okay, thank you.
I'd say we will try it again in the future.
Mr. DeJohn?
Does the magnesium chloride, is it better for the concrete?
More, not concrete, more grass, and that won't burn, the tree lawns and everything, that won't burn more, better for the environment.
Yeah, the reason I'm asking is, we're repairing Mayfield Road, so I wanna kinda protect that road this year, so.
Yeah, we all do.
So if the magnesium chloride was better, maybe we could use it on that section of it.
You see the price difference adds up really quick.
It's a small section of road though.
If we're gonna get it, we'd have to get the whole 5,000 tons, not a piece just for Mayfield.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fenaro. Any other questions, comments? Mr. Mercurio?
Just a comment, it looks like this year's price is a little over $1 less than last year, so a little bit of savings this year.
Plus, we have some salt left from last year to begin the season, am I correct?
That I don't know, I'll defer to Mr. Fernaro on that.
We do. Great, thank you. Okay, roll call on the motion to approve.
Mr. Mercurio?
Yes.
Mrs. Finney?
Yes.
Mrs. Sabetta?
Yes.
Mr. DeJohn?
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder?
Yes.
Mr. Mano?
Yes.
Mrs. Trussy?
Yes, Resolution 2016-51 has been approved, and we'll move on to Resolution 2016-52. Mr. Murphy.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Resolution 2016-52, a resolution authorizing the purchase of Cuyahoga County permanent parcel number 863-06-003, 1672 Woodhurst Avenue, from Daniel K. Corman, and declaring an emergency. First reading.
Is there a motion to suspend the rules? Moved by Mr. DeJohn, seconded by Mrs. Finney. Roll call on the motion to suspend.
Mrs. Snyder?
Yes.
Mr. DeJohn?
Yes.
Mr. Mano?
Yes.
Mr. Mercurio?
Yes.
Mrs. Sabetta?
Yes.
Mrs. Finney?
Yes.
Mrs. Trussy?
Yes. Do I have a motion to approve? Moved by Mrs. Snyder, seconded by Mr. Mercurio. So we received a purchase agreement between the city and the property owner at 1672 Woodhurst. And we, as the city, are purchasing the property for $80,300 plus closing costs. Mr. Murphy, would you like to add anything to this?
Yes, this property is located adjacent to the city park. It was for sale, which is why we approached the realtor, and offered the amount of the county county auditor's appraisal, which was $80,300. That was accepted by the owner of the property, contingent on inspection, which was performed Friday by Mr. Jameson, and everything looked in good shape, and contingent on council approving it this evening, which is the final piece of the puzzle. And if council approves it, then we're scheduled to transfer on August 15th, and that will expand the city's footprint there. Land adjacent to the park doesn't come available all the time, so it's time to move.
Great idea, great idea. Will we demolish this property?
It's my understanding it'll be torn down, yes.
Soon, or will we wait for any length of time, Mayor?
I'd like to do it as soon as possible, because the longer it sits there, the worse shape it's gonna
looks.
get in, and yeah, there's no sense in keeping it up, so.
Right. That's terrific. Any other comments or questions? Mr. DeJohn?
Yeah, I just wanna commend the mayor for taking the initiative to purchase this property. Thank you.
Great idea. Thrilled to add anything we can to our park system. Roll call on the motion to approve.
Mrs. Sabetta?
Yes.
Mr. Mano?
Yes.
Mr. Mercurio?
Yes.
Mrs. Finney?
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder?
Yes.
Mr. DeJohn?
Yes.
Mrs. Tressie?
Yes. Resolution 2016-52 has been approved. We'll move on to ordinances. We'll begin with ordinance 2016-26. Mr. Murphy.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Ordinance number 2016-26, an ordinance amending ordinance numbers 2016-11 and 2016-25, the appropriation expenditures of the City of Mayfield Heights, State of Ohio, for the fiscal year ending December 31, 2016. First reading.
Thank you. Is there a motion to suspend the rules? Moved by Mrs. Finney, seconded by Mr. Mano. Roll call on the motion to suspend.
Mr. Mano?
Yes.
Mr. Mercurio?
Yes.
Mr. DeJohn?
Yes.
Mrs. Sabetta?
Yes.
Mrs. Finney?
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder?
Yes.
Mrs. Tressie?
Yes. Is there a motion to approve? Moved by Mrs. Snyder, seconded by Mr. Mano. Mr. Tribby provided a memo referencing the need for the supplemental appropriations, Section 1, additional funds to purchase and demolish the property on Woodhurst that we just voted on, and Section 2, additional funds for unanticipated retirement in the service department. Mr. Tribby, would you like to add anything?
No, the memo covers it, basically just covers those two things, the purchase of the property and additional appropriation to take care of a retirement.
Is that someone that's going to be retiring or has
Yes.
already retired?
Already announced, that's why I'm doing it. We did not anticipate the retirement, so it was not in the original budget.
Any other questions for Mr. Tribby? Roll call on the motion to approve.
Mr. DeJohn?
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder?
Yes.
Mrs. Finney?
Yes.
Mr. Mercurio?
Yes.
Mr. Mano?
Yes.
Mrs. Sabetta?
Yes.
Mrs. Tressie?
Yes. Ordinance 2016-26 has been approved. We'll move on to ordinance 2016-27. Mr. Murphy.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Ordinance number 2016-27, an ordinance repealing current chapter 1183 of the codified ordinances of the City of Mayfield Heights titled Fences, and enacting new chapter 1183 regarding fences. First reading.
Is there a motion to place ordinance 2016-27 on first reading? Moved by Mr. DeJohn, seconded by Mrs. Finney. Roll call on the ordinance, roll call to place the ordinance 2016-27 on first reading.
Mrs. Finney?
Yes.
Mrs. Sabetta?
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder?
Yes.
Mr. Mano?
Yes.
Mr. DeJohn?
Yes.
Mr. Mercurio?
Yes.
Mrs. Tressie?
Yes, this ordinance has been placed on first reading.
Madam President, if I could just, maybe I read Mr. Mano's mind. We have a planning meeting scheduled for August 1st, our next meeting, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam President,
Mr. Mano.
at this time, I would like to remove ordinance number 2016-23 from the table.
Okay.
Do I have a second?
Is there a second to remove ordinance 2016-23 from the table? Moved by Mr. Mercurio. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Let's do a roll call.
Mr. Mercurio?
Yes.
Mrs. Finney?
Yes.
Mrs. Sabetta?
Yes.
Mr. DeJohn?
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder?
Yes.
Mr. Mano?
Yes.
Mrs. Tressie?
Yes.
Madam Chairman, at this time, I would like to withdraw that ordinance.
Are there any objections to withdrawing ordinance 2016-23 from the agenda, or from the table? Do we need a roll call? No objections, so we can say this is withdrawn. This ordinance 2016-23 has been withdrawn. We'll move on to motions. Mr. Murphy.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Motion to authorize the preparation of specifications and the advertising for bids for the purchase of a mobile air trailer for the refilling of breathing apparatus, Hillcrest Tech Rescue Team.
Do I have a motion to approve? Moved by Mrs. Snyder, seconded by Mrs. Sabetta. Chief Elliott did a memo for us requesting this new mobile air trailer for the air breathing bottles. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Roll call on the motion to approve.
Mrs. Snyder?
Yes.
Mr. DeJohn?
Yes.
Mr. Mano?
Yes.
Mr. Mercurio?
Yes.
Mrs. Sabetta?
Yes.
Mrs. Finney?
Yes.
Mrs. Trussy?
Yes, this motion has been carried, and we are ready for adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Moved by Mr. Mercurio, seconded by Mr. Mano. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Our meeting has been adjourned.